Hi, I'm Josh Lewizak, and this is Brendan Weekly. Welcome to the GL Newsroom. We are dedicated to bring you the latest news from Berkeley Heights, Governor Livingston, and around the world. This program is the culmination of Period 3 Intro TV activities for this semester. We have worked hard to bring you this broadcast. First off, we begin with information on girls' fall sports. The girls' sports team had a great season. They were full of energy and ready to win in each game. The GL tennis team won one match and only lost 4. Overall, they had a good time. GL field hockey worked very hard to beat almost every team they played. You could see that in these clips that we're going to show you. GL girls soccer had a good time defeating their opponents with a record 5-9-1. All the sports team had a great season and are looking forward to next year, where they will have an even better season. Here are some clips of the girls in action.
Now in the world of arts. The art department students have been working very hard on 2 particular projects. Animorphs. These things are inanimate objects turning into animals. It's very interesting to see how they change. Another one are these monster things that they drew up. To see what these looks like, let's go to the videotape.
I love those artwork. Boys fall sports did very well this past season. These sports include soccer, football, and cross country. The boys soccer team finished with a record of 6-14. Despite their record, they played well together and looked forward to next season with their new coach, Coach Soma. The Governor Livingston football team finished with a record of 2-8. They played tough and were faced with injuries to key players. Varsity cross country held their own in the Mountain Valley Conference, posting a record of 3-2. Now here are some sports of boys wrestling and basketball which are currently playing.
Recently, a time capsule was made and buried at Columbia School in Berkeley Heights. The time capsule contains items from our present time that will later be opened in the near future. The time capsule will be dug out in the year 2052. Bo Bosetsky is the person who was in charge of the time capsule burial. Now let's go to the interview with Mr. Bosetsky and Tom Lallis, and as well as some footage of the time capsule being buried. This is the book of Berkeley Heights, which tells us the history of the town itself and all its great successes and memories. Here the JROTC is fastening the time capsule and are as well as putting the seal on it. This is the memorial stone of the time capsule, stating when the time capsule will be buried and when it will be dug out. The time capsule is now carefully being placed into the burial hole. Here, Dr. Baza, the superintendent of schools, has the great privilege of putting the first shovel full of dirt into the burial hole.
A club that's been very active up here is the Latin Club. They held the Northern Regional Meeting here at GL. Latin clubs from all around northern New Jersey convened at GL for the annual JCL Northern Regional Game Night. The students played games with a Roman twist to them, such as Pin the Dagger on Caesar and Latina Vivid, and other games. Now here are some clips from the game night.
Okay, sinister, pace, time.
Wait. Stop.
Oh, this is Scrabble.
I'm not playing the real way. Don't get paper.
This is Scrabble. We can guys Scrabble. These are
No Scrabble. Where's the...
right. Yeah, down. Right there.
Right there.
No, down a little bit more. Yeah. Right there. Yes.
I remember.
Exactly. Very good. Good guy.
Some noises. Come on. Give me some... Hard?
Yeah, those are brownies.
Right.
Hard.
Bonadura. All right.
Okay, have.
How?
Have.
Have?
Yeah. What is it? Have you?
Yeah. Yo, Mr. David, what's up?
Yeah, eyeliner. That's great. And then eyeliners in this. Wait.
Are we supposed to show you?
Oh my God, it was good. I think it's that purple.
We can make sure. Here, put it on. Make it look like it is. It's like a color pencil. You're like, I don't know.
Nothing's coming out.
No, it's just crayon.
Purple eyeshadow.
Josh, you think we should give it to him? Use some marker for purple eyeshadow?
Yeah, she put marker on her head.
Got two so far.
Purple eyeshadow. Wait, who's the second person? You're gonna go back. What's she say? And the third person is Josh. Josh. The third person is there. And the first two to get other people's stats size, like if it's correct, win. Alright?
What?
No, don't get them correct. Oh.
I did not hear the directions.
You put their clothes on and run to the opposite side, okay? Hurry up!
With the old century out and a new one arriving, we were wondering what some of the great accomplishments were in the past century. We asked students around GL what they thought was the greatest accomplishment of the last century. Now here is Eric Gay asking the question, what was the greatest accomplishment of the last century?
What was the most significant event in the last century?
I think probably the death of Princess Diana because it got so much media attention. It affected so many people, and she made such a difference in the lives of everyone that she met. So I think that was probably the most significant event.
What was the most significant event in the last century?
Well, of course, the most significant event was you being born. Same thing.
What was the most significant event in the last century?
I think computers, because they really help us out a lot. I think Mother Teresa was I don't know.
What was the most significant event in the last century?
The most significant thing in the last century, I think, is the advancement of cars, because it helps us with transportation, getting places, stuff. So that's it.
What was the most significant event in the last century?
I say space exploration because it's probably one of the hardest things to do is go into space. And
What was the most significant event in the last century?
Jello molds.
What was the most significant event in the last century?
I believe the most significant thing was the cargo pants, because you can put a lot of things in your pants now. Instead of just having 5 pockets, you have about 8.
I think it's the comeback of tube tops.
Space exploration.
The Vietnam War.
The atom bomb.
Now here's an interview I did with Anjanika Swani, Student of the Month for January. This is a very interesting interview. You learn a lot about Anjani and a lot about being Student of the Month. Now let's go to the videotape. Hello, I'm here with Anjanika Swani, Student of the Month for January. How did you become Student of the Month?
I think I was nominated by my interactive advisor, Mr. Costello, and I was selected out of a bunch of students who were nominated by various people. And I think it's because I've done a lot of high-profile work here in jail, I'm interactive president and co-captain of the varsity swim team, and on the executive board, the tutoring service coordinator of the National Honor Society, and other things. So I think they just picked me out of a group of really good students.
Okay. How do you feel about being the Student of the Month?
It's a real honor to be Student of the Month because they only pick 8 or 9 throughout the year, students that are representative of the school, basically at a senior class. So it's really cool, I think, just to be recognized for doing a lot of work.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about your family?
We've lived in Berkeley Heights all my life. I have both my parents and my sister who graduated a couple years ago, and she's off in college. And we have a dog named Gumball, and he's been with us forever.
Okay. What do you feel are your strongest and weakest subjects?
I really like science, so I guess chemistry and biology have been strong subjects of mine because I've been involved with Science League and things of that sort for those. And weakest, I guess, would have to be math because I'm just not really good at grasping all the concepts most of the time.
Okay. Did you go to any schools before this?
Other high schools?
Yeah.
No, I've only gone to jail.
What grammar schools have you gone to?
I went to Mountain Park and then to Columbia Middle School.
Okay. And have you won any other awards in GL or in your grammar school?
In GL, I've won awards. Basically, I've done a lot of awards with the science teams and math league and those sort. Sophomore year, I won a 3rd place national prize for the Ayn Rand essay contest. And I'm right now a National Merit semifinalist, and I'm waiting to see how the finals results come on that. I'm an Edward J. Blaustein Distinguished Scholar, and there's a lot of various other things with clubs and things of that sort that I've done.
Okay, and how do you like GL?
Actually, a lot. It's got a lot of good strong points, a lot of great people, good courses, fun extracurricular activities. I think it's a really good school.
Okay. What are you planning to do after high school?
Well, I'm going to go to college, maybe in a medical program so that I can get like a combined undergraduate and medical degree. So I plan on becoming a doctor.
What colleges are you planning to go to?
There's a lot of medical programs, like I said before, at Northwestern and Brown, George Washington, Lehigh, and then there's some others. And then I applied to a couple of four-year colleges like Cornell and Princeton.
Okay, thank you for coming. This is Brendan Weekly here with Anjani Kuswani, signing off.
Now we have some world news. Clinton is to deliver his State of the Union address on January 27, 2000. Based on Clinton's history, that could be a daunting challenge. Last year's address was 77 minutes. His address in 1998 ran 75 minutes. Republican presidential candidates have received the Clinton administration for what they claim is underfunding the military and causing a resulting decline in readiness. Proposing a big increase could blunt some of that criticism, and Congress is unlikely to reject an increase. Clinton also has proposed an ambitious $110 billion program to expand health care coverage for uninsured Americans, including a plan first suggested by Gore to allow parents whose children are covered under the government's Children's Health Insurance Program to be covered. Another Clinton proposal calls for tougher enforcement of firearms laws by proposing funding for more federal agents and prosecutors and to create a program to track gun use through ballistic testing. Clinton's plan could help Gore, as Bradley has proposed expanding the tax credit for low-wage workers as part of a $9.8 billion wholesale rescue effort for the poor. Some of Clinton's other proposals include a massive $30 billion tax credit for higher education costs as a centerpiece of a series of initiatives intended to coax more young people into a college and university and keep them there until they graduate. Spending $27 million to improve education and enforcement of federal laws requiring equal pay for equal work by men and women. Boosting basic scientific and medical research by $2.8 billion, spending $695 million in the year 2001 budget, a 13% increase to beef up civil rights enforcement. Additional $204 million for domestic and international programs that provide birth control and other family planning services. It would be the largest annual increase for such services in more than 2 decades. The Clinton is supposed to give his State of the Union address on January 27th, year 2000. Can't wait to hear it. NASA has sent the Mars Space Lander to Mars. They lost a signal and recently got a weak signal coming in. After determining that a weak radio signal could have come from the Mars Polar Lander, scientists with NASA and Stanford University will listen Wednesday for signs that the wayward spacecraft might somehow be alive and operating. Mission manager at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena instructed the lander to send a signal to antenna at Stanford University about 1 p.m. NASA said that several days would be necessary to process the data. NASA scientists last week officially abandoned their effort to locate the ill-fated $165 million lander, which disappeared on December 3rd as it started its descent to the surface on the red planet. After weeks of fruitless attempts to raise the lander by radio, JPL, mission controller, appeared resigned to their second major failure on the Mars mission in 3 months, following the September loss of the Mars Climate Observer. But they experienced renewed hopes this week after scientists at Stanford University 150-foot antenna reported that review of data revealed that what might have been an extremely weak signal from Mars during tests on December 18th and January 4th. NASA cautioned that even if the signal were coming from the lander, there was little hope that any portion of the spacecraft's original scientific mission to probe the Martian surface for signs of water could be completed. The sign is extremely weak, which would indicate a failure in the lander's primary transmitter. It is unlikely that the problem could be corrected or that the data could be returned. In other news, there is a storm system revving up to socket to the Super Bowl city. A low-pressure system is getting better organized in the south-central United States and is expected to move to the east, where it could deliver freezing rain and snow in Atlanta on Friday, just in time to greet football fans arriving for the Super Bowl. Also, an LAPD chief, ex-officer says convicts against 99 people were wrongfully obtained. A former Los Angeles Police Department officer has identified 99 individuals involved in 57 cases who were wrongly obtained, according to LAPD Police Chief Bernard Parks. Also, 4 New York jail guards are accused of attacking female inmates and sexually abusing them. 4 veteran jail guards were arrested Wednesday and charged with sexual attacks of female inmates. A woman freed after years in prison for drug laws denounces them. Lisa Oberg could not stop embracing her mother. Could not stop embracing her mother, hugging her, kissing her, grabbing her hand, and first time in 11 years, she didn't have to. Transcripts revealed pilot's words before Little Rock crash. The pilot and co-pilot of American Airlines Flight 1420 talked about being way off course shortly before their plane touched down in a thunderstorm, skidding off the runway and crashed last year, killing 11 people, including the captain. Florida inmate to decide between electric chair or death by injection. The first execution under Florida's new law providing for death by injection unless an inmate prefers the electric chair are scheduled for late February. Now more news from Brendan Weekly.
Last Wednesday, a fire broke out at 4:30 a.m. on the 3rd floor of Boland Hall, a freshman dorm at Seton Hall. Of the 640 students, 3 were killed and 58 were injured. Many students thought it was a prank at first, but after hearing screams and seeing people hanging out of windows, they realized what was going on. Classes were canceled until Tuesday. If you have any questions about the university, there's a hotline you can call. There are also many foundations being set up for the victims' families. In wake of this tragedy, officials are attempting to require sprinkler systems in all dorms, not just new ones. In the world of sports, basketball, Phoenix versus Philadelphia. Phoenix won 93-87. Washington and Toronto. Toronto won 120-105. Boston versus Orlando, 111-89. Sacramento versus Milwaukee, 112 versus 104, Milwaukee. Vancouver versus Utah, 116-99, Vancouver. New Jersey versus Seattle, 95-92, Seattle. In hockey, St. Louis versus Ottawa. St. Louis won 4-1. Calgary versus Washington. Washington won 2-1. Phoenix versus Atlanta. It was a tie. Detroit versus Toronto was 4-2. New Jersey versus Florida was 3-2. And Dallas versus Los Angeles, 3-1 Dallas. Now in politics. George W. Bush and John McCain, the two leading Republican presidential candidates, clashed a debate on Wednesday as Bush accused McCain of being like Vice President Al Gore, and McCain charged that Bush was being like President Clinton. In their 8th and final debate before next Tuesday's crucial New Hampshire primary, the first of the U.S. presidential campaign, Bush and McCain, for the first time displayed their real personal hostility to one another. Publisher Steve Forbes, conservative activist Gary Bonner, and talk radio host Alan Keyes also participated in the 90-minute forum, but the focus was clearly on Bush, the governor of Texas, and Arizona Senator McCain. Questioning McCain on education, Bush said only 2 people had criticized his plan, McCain and Gore, the leading Democratic Party presidential candidates. 2 people who have openly criticized this plan, you and the Vice President, and why don't you think that high expectation will work? Why don't you think that this plan will work, Bush said. McCain, well, first of all, George, if you're saying that I'm like Al Gore, you're spinning up like Bill Clinton, okay? Let's clear that one up. That was the second time Bush had likened McCain to Gore. A few minutes before, he dismissed McCain's plan to cut taxes by saying Al Gore would have written your plan, Mr. Senator. Bush, who won plurality in the first Iowa caucuses, the first vote of the 2000 presidential campaign on Monday, is trailing McCain in polls in New Hampshire that gave their exchange a special edge, but it was far from the only clash during the debate. Okay. Residents used to the slopey cleanup that comes after the wind and rains of hurricanes weren't prepared for kind of perilous brought up by this week's record of snowfall. More bad weather will be on the way, as much as 10 inches of snow were expected in Oklahoma by tonight from the storm. Parts of North Carolina are still reeling from the snow after being battered last fall by a hurricane. While most places were almost back to the normal on Wednesday, Raleigh, which got 2 feet, and Richmond, Virginia, which got 11 inches. And now to get some more info on the weather, Eric. I
can't see that. Hello, everyone. We are right here. Today is going to be really cold. It is partly cloudy with a high of 23 and a low of 8. On Friday, it is going to be mostly sunny with a high of 28. The low is 15. Now, later in the weekend on Sunday, there are going to be snow showers with a high of 34 and a low of 29. Now, that's it with the weather. Back to you, Brendan.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. That was very helpful. And we thank you for watching GL News. Thank you. I'm Brendan Weekly. This is Jocelyn Lizweck, signing off.